Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My dear listeners, Bismillahirahmaniraheem. So today's message is going to be about how we need to know how our Creator has introduced himself. And that is not just the surah we do so many times a day, but that's just one ayah which we repeat so many times a day in whatever we do. And probably you got the idea what I'm talking about. It's about Bismillahirahmaniraheem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how He has introduced Himself in this one ayah, which has been repeated 114 times in His book. So what exactly is this? There's some magic in it. There's something very huge in it. So let's try to. We know the translation, the way it's translated. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. But it's the translation. Does it have an impact on our heart to know what really it means? See, translation is translation, but are we able to get to the meaning of it? What does it mean? What does it mean? It means a lot. It means a lot. In the name of Allah, we do anything and everything that we do in our lives, with our lives. In what? In the name of Allah. And then, who is Allah? He is Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. So, in other words, Bismillahirahmaniraheem contains 3 names of Allah. It contains 3 names of Allah. The first one is, as we all know, Allah, which is His most familiar name, to indicate that all things happen only by the will of Allah. That name indicates that all things happen only by the will of Allah. And then the second is Ar-Rahman, which means gracious, generous, most forgiving, merciful. Allah is the only one who can keep things from destruction. This name indicates that He is the only one who can keep things from destruction. And His Raham, His mercy, is for everyone in this world. In this world, He is Rahman. His mercy is not taken away from the sinners or from the wrongdoers, from those who even reject His existence. Everyone is benefiting. But then He says He is also Raheem, which means merciful. Most merciful, not just merciful. And His Rahmah is continuous, no break. Allah is the most merciful, and it is only through His mercy that we can thrive or be successful. We cannot be alive if it wasn't for His Rahmah in the form of Him being the Raheem. So this, according to the ulama, it said He is Rahman in this world for everyone, and even Raheem, but in the Akhirah, His mercy is going to be for those who believed in Him. So the way Allah has, so what does this mean? We need to understand the meaning of, does that mean that if I'm good, nothing bad is going to happen to me. Everything will be perfect for me. This is going to be a perfect world, as if I'm living in Jannah. That's not what it means, because we are not in Jannah. We have to earn the Jannah through this world. So Allah is testing us. Allah has decided to give us the Jannah when we pass the test in this world. By having that, taking that mercy from Allah in the form of the two Rahmans, in the form of Him being the Rahman and being the Raheem, and take care of ourselves. We need to have mercy on ourselves, bringing Allah's commands in our lives. And also, like I said, even if we are good, does that mean nothing bad will happen? No, it's not that. If that was the case, why would the prophets and the messengers, who are the best of the creation, why would they suffer the way they suffered through the hands of this creation? It's a test. So we all go through the test. Now, why the test? Because that's what this world is about. We are in this world trying to pass our test every breath of our lives, every moment of our lives, whatever is there. If something is going well and good, then that's a huge test, because people are they go beyond their Sharia limits to express themselves how happy they are. And when things are not the way they want to be, then it's very easy to go out of the Sharia and do the things and make the things work for them, whether it's through the haram or the halal. They don't care. So these are the tests. And why? Why do we need the test? Because we need to become strong. And only through going through different things, difficulties come. And through difficulties, we manage to think and solve the problems. So now we look for the solutions, and our mind becomes active. Mind is otherwise not doing any work, and it needs to get busy doing something which is constructive and which makes us strong every single day of our lives, every single moment of our lives. We want to have a very active mind. If we are not going to use it for the good, it's going to be inclined towards the wrong. So like they say, even the time is a double-edged sword. If we don't use it for the good, it's going to be used for the evil. Same thing for all the gifts of Allah. All the gifts of Allah. So Allah wants us to connect with Him, connect with our life to come, which is the reality of our lives. So Allah is Rahman The Raheem. That's why He has decided to give us a life in which we are being tested. Now, what are these tests about? We need to think about it. Allah will always give us happiness, and happiness is a test. Why? To keep us sweet and nice. We need the happiness. But then again, it's not just that. Along with that, alongside the happiness, there is going to be trials from Allah. There are going to be trials from Allah to keep us strong. The strength comes in solving the trials, trying to find ways to make things work for us within the Sharia limit, without harming anyone, without harming our own destiny and our own standing with Allah. We cannot compromise our deen. So trials, sufficient, and these are all in a manner that are exactly, precisely made for every individual. Every individual's trials of happiness, their testing of difficulties are according to how Allah created us. Not everyone is equal. Just like the 5 fingers on our hand, they are coming from the same hand, they are not the same. Same way, every person is different. So every person's testing in this world is different because it's from the Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Because he's not going to, he has promised us and he never breaks his promise. Allah says, we will never burden you with more than you can bear. So if the trials are there, they're according to what I can manage. It's just a matter of no panic. Just calm down, ask Allah for help, and the help is on the way. When Allah closes one door, who opens so many other doors? And then they're going to be, the trials are going to be in the form of some sorrow. Why the sorrow? Grief. That's the opposite of happiness, sorrow and grief. Why do we need that? To keep us human. To unless we go through some trials of sorrow and grief, we will not be able to live as a human, because we will not be able to realize what other people are going through. So only those trials in the form of some grief and sorrow will give us the humanness to behave and be the way Allah wants us to be with His creation. And also the opposites will define themselves. Without the opposite, if we don't know happiness, if we want to know happiness, we need to know the grief. If we need to know the grief, we need to know what makes us happy. So opposites are those that define things for us. So it's not just like it's not that one person is always in grief with anything and everything. That's not the case. So there are so many things in our lives that we can rejoice about, but we take them for granted. Like the eye, which is able to see, like the ears that are able to hear, like the tongue that we are using all the time, that, anything and everything. But one of those things, something happens and we get overwhelmed. Why? Because we tasted the taste of having them. Now their loss seems to be a big thing. But then there are still so many things that are still working fine. So what's the test? How do we pass the test? Allah doesn't take away all the things at the same time. He never does that. 1 or 2 things go wrong and rest of the things are working fine. So this is the rahmah of Allah, to keep us human, to make us strong, and to keep us sweet. And also He gives us hope. Hope is something that goes a long way. If there's no hope, people go into depression. But a believer is a believer because of the hope. We don't give up. We have firm belief in our Creator, and we are always attached to Him, and we call upon Him. The best names that Allah subhanallah, He introduced Himself with are Allah, Rahman, Raheem. So this is one word we can do when we are going through difficulties, sorrows, or even when we are hoping for something to happen. Our hope is connected with who? Allah, Rahman and Raheem. Allah, who is Rahman and Raheem. So we call upon, just say, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Raheem, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Raheem, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Raheem. And know that I'm calling upon someone who is full of Rahmah. He is my hope, and I'm not alone. And I want to be happy. And that hope is not going to take our happiness away. It will keep us happy because I have hope in someone who is my Allah, my generous Allah, my merciful Allah, my most compassionate Allah. This is his introduction for us. And then he also tests us with some failures. It's not just because we are working hard, we tried our best that we are going to be a winner all the time. We are always going to be successful. Success is again going to be there, but when only Allah knows. Sometimes we have to face the failures in our lives. And why? Why do we need the failures in our lives? This is from Allah. This is from Rahman and Raheem. And this failure is a mercy from Him. What does this failure give us? How do I benefit from this thing that I fail with? I benefit by becoming humble. Failures are needed for me to keep me humble. Because arrogance is the opposite of humbleness. An arrogant person is the worst possible, has the worst possible character trait. Humbleness is the best possible. When we succeed, we know it's from the help of Allah. I succeeded, and we connect our success to the help of Allah. It's not me and I. It's about His help. So what do? We thank Allah. We want to take care of His creation the way He took care of us. We want to be humble, to follow His commands, to listen to what He wants from me. So failures are a big asset for a believer. They connect us with Allah. Next time, I'm going to work harder and I'm not going to fail, inshallah. We will remember with the inshallah, with the help of Allah. Again, Bismillahirahmaniraheem. This time, maybe, the time when I failed, it was my own, some arrogance which came between me and my success. This time, I'm going to be what? I'm going to be humble. I need to understand the difference between humbleness and arrogance. So Allah wants to, beautify us with the best possible character traits through these things that we go through our lives during our lifespan in this world. And it's ongoing. So many successes, and then there's a few failures. And those are the most needed. Otherwise, what did Iblis do? He became arrogant. Istakbara. He showed arrogance, and he said, I'm better than him. So that's not something that Allah wants from His believing servants, believing slaves. Allah wants us to be humble towards Him and His creation. So far, we discussed 5 of the points which are sort of negative for us outwardly, but if we understand the meaning of these and how Allah is taking care of me through being Rahman and Raheem to me, I'm going to be so grateful for everything that's from him and him alone. So inshallah, we will continue this in our next class, inshallah.